Hey fam, what's going on? This is Jessica Pickens. Welcome to Pickens Realities, our blended family truths podcast.
You're talking about is null and void.
I didn't say it was null and void.
And I don't talk
You're
like that.
saying,
I never
you're
said
saying,
that.
you're
You're
in this position.
But anytime I'm talking to you about something, it's not real. It doesn't make sense to you. This isn't what you want. Like, this is what I'm talking about. The whole situation with the YouTube, the irony in the fact that I'm helping you pursue your YouTube dream.
First of all, I don't have a damn YouTube dream. I'm only doing what I feel like God told me to do as far as having this conversation. I don't have a YouTube dream.
We had this conversation.
The truth be told, I don't even want to do this stuff because it is this. It is this. Putting yourself out there so that other people can
You don't want other people's perception of you to be put out there. You don't want to be looked at as anybody that did nothing but do right to people. Your perception is your reality. You think that Dad sat and abused Jayla from the time he wake up to the time he went to sleep. That's not his perception, and that's not Dad's perception. But your perception is your reality and the end all be all. That's how you make everybody else feel. I'm not even gonna say everybody else. That's how you make me feel. Your perception is the end all be all. A couple of weeks ago, for you to sit and tell me because something didn't make sense to you, you thought I was lying. Whole time I was telling the truth, they told you exactly what I said, and that's my whole life with you. Because it don't make sense to you, because it doesn't sound like something you would want me to say to you, or it doesn't feel good to your insides, it's not right. It's not how it should go. It's not real. I've had micro conversations with you about this specific topic, and you always tell me, girl, I'm not doing that. Like, we're not. You always do. You always try to shelter the conversation. When we be sitting down there on our podcast, you're sheltering the conversation because you don't want to be vilified in a situation because, according to you, everybody's perception is their reality. But when it comes to everyone else's perception of you, it's always, well, you know why I did that. Well, I was doing it because you meant, whole time, Mums didn't even do nothing. According to you, I was telling everybody I wanted my parents to be together because that's how I felt. Whole time, he asked a question.
I never said you was telling everybody. We was talking about that instance and what you responded that day.
And ever since then, and even after you got the clarification that was the conversation, you still, videos after, well, I felt like Jayla didn't like me, even after having that clarity. So you're dismissing what was already established and putting in your brain, it doesn't really matter what was already established because I still feel how I feel.
No, we are talking about how I felt in the time when I felt. That's what I felt during those times.
Never
so
was
that,
say, but we clarified it.
No, we have. Yes, we have, Jayla. We talk about after the fact. Well, now that we have clarity based on the last couple episodes, we absolutely have referred to the fact that doing this podcast has given us information and knowledge and clarity.
Well, I just forgot we was on camera. I'm like, yeah. Well, guys, welcome back to Pickens Realities and Blended Family Truths, where we talk about blended family matters because blended families matter. So I am the greatest child that's ever walked the face of the earth. I am the best mom, in my generation.
Lord Jesus.
I said in my generation.
Humility.
And never mind. Just the greatest. Jayla. What about you guys?
I am Tyrone, the dad of this interesting hodgepodge of human beings. So that's who I am.
I'm Jessica, the mother.
Right, I'm Jessica,
the wife,
the mother,
the mom, the bonus mom. Yeah, who's struggling?
Relax.
No, this is hard, man.
Relax.
So last episode we left off on like a cliffhanger for sure. It was a lot going on.
We fell off a cliff is what we did.
You didn't. We did.
What when you guys fall, I fall. Carry on.
We fall down, but we get up. So I know that possibly looking into a lot of people's eyes. They were all shooketh, clutching their pearls. Oh my God, this is so crazy. They actually don't like each other. Actually, we do. A lot. But families go through things. Families experience stuff. And, you know, everything that glitters isn't gold. And sometimes life happens and you hit a pothole while you're driving. Doesn't mean you're a careless driver.
That's good.
So today we're going to talk about, you know, just go through and discuss last episode, because it was a lot. There was a lot going on. There was a lot of surprises and conversations and surprise emotions and feelings, and I feel like we were all a little caught off guard. So,
what you mean we all? You was doing the off guard and we was caught.
Listen, Wendy was asking the questions, and I'm just sitting here.
I'm like, how was we all caught off guard?
Oh,
Look, Wendy started asking questions.
No, I'm
my
serious.
chest
I'm
started
like,
getting hot.
You chose it.
Woo.
You chose to make the episode be about you.
See, I don't mind talking, but I also don't mind talking about other people. But I don't know what it was.
So I agree with Mom. We was the one that got caught. You was the one that was doing the pitching.
And listen, okay, let's just dive right into, you know, you all just watched, you know, we watched and you all just watched just a short snippet of kind of the aftermath of what happened after camera, although somebody still had cameras rolling. Unbeknownst, obviously my back
was sitting there like,
was to,
but it's
you know,
reality though. I mean, we don't.
Calvin, I still love you. This guy, I'm gonna have a conversation with.
We don't want
sitting there like this.
we don't want people feeling like that we are this, you know, fluffy cloud with.
I don't know how anybody could think we're a fluffy kid. Go back and watch
Well,
all
be surprised,
22 other
but
episodes.
people would be like, I didn't know, because y'all seem like the Huxtables.
Yeah, well, I want to listen. This is very hard. Watching that recording was extremely difficult.
And I think living it, having it happen, was extremely difficult. You know, we start to unpack things that we thought we had unpacked.
But I don't know how we thought we unpacked it. First, let's back.
We didn't know the suitcase existed.
Let's back. No, we knew it existed to a degree. Well, I think the whole point of what we're doing today, now in this episode, and going back and talking through, is yet again for the benefit of other people, because we are 22 years in.
Almost 23 in December.
And there are things that we just have not purposely dedicated time to sit down, talk about, heal from, just in general, as far as blended family stuff in different ways, that doing this podcast, the way that we're doing it very organically, has facilitated the forum for that. However, the challenge is that, what's our favorite word on this show? One of them?
Communication.
Well, no.
Therapy?
That one. I was like, no, the other one, right? The other favorite word. But typically, unfortunately, we have not purposely said, okay, we need to sit down and, if rough stuff comes up, how do we then deal with that in a healthy way after the show? We haven't done that.
Because honestly, after that big old blow up, this is our first time talking about it, really. And I don't know how many of you guys out there, girls and their moms and men and their dads, or girls and their sons or whatever, like when you have a blow up with your parents, whether it's you induce it or they induce it, or it was both of y'all clashing, like, do y'all just be like going your separate ways and not talking until it's just like, oh, the smoke is clear and we can go back to doing what we're doing? Because I feel like I don't think it was, for me, like a smoke was clear situation. It was literally just like like I said, after that video, I just felt like a huge release of like anxiety, depression, just how I felt about myself and all the things. Just like, it's like, the feeling like when the police officers unhook your cuffs and you like,
not really.
Right. I mean,
I'm
maybe
like,
a little bit, but not a whole lot.
Sorry, I can't get with either of you on that one.
Maybe
Thank
only
the Lord.
6 or
well,
7
do you
or
know
8
the
or 9 or 10
feeling
times.
when like when you finally get home and you had a belt on all day and you've been eating and you finally take that belt off and you're like, like that's exactly what I felt like. And it was just like, okay, well, thanks for giving my TED Talk.
But you felt that way. I'm sorry, one second. But I felt everything you released landed on me. Right, wrong, or indifferent? No, I can't speak to how you felt. I'm saying.
But I don't know why you feeling some type of way, because me and her was going back and forth.
It wasn't. I felt very, especially at the end, which again, so for our audience's sake, what we're gonna do is go back through some of these clips and unpack this, and talk through why we felt that way. I wanted to talk about it after. Obviously, that was not a good time, and I think you unloaded. We had, the aftermath, if you will. I keep calling it, and then you was like, okay, I'm leaving now, and bounced up out the crib like I'm great, and I felt decimated. And so I forced your father and your mother to sit, because I was like, no, I need to talk. We need to talk about this.
Like, bro.
And we sat and talked probably for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Which again,
it was healthy.
Yeah, I was talking about me.
Yes, but actually, I think more of it again. I feel like my perception even of that was a lot of that. I feel like facilitates continued healing for you and Jerry more than it. It gets weird. Mm-hmm. Because because I was explaining to you all how during, and we'll get to the part in the episode, in the clip that I'm talking. We're gonna go through some clips, y'all. Sorry, kind of fumbling over words, because I really, like, for real, y'all. This was about the nail in the coffin, because I'm like, this is rough.
We ain't even got Kleenex today.
What is wrong with y'all? Y'all should have known it.
What is wrong with y'all?
Okay, here we go. It's a half a Kleenex in the box.
This is what I get. In the laundry room, there's
some behind you.
It's on the couch. It's on the couch.
So I do want to say this while you're soaking up, the moisture from the eyes there. It's important to know that even though we had,
really,
the one.
This is gonna be the day today. Okay, all right.
Even though we had, so two things. Not everything fell on your shoulders. There were things that Jayla said that impacted me quite a bit. The reason that the whole car situation, her living in the car situation, came up was because of the rift we had. And I was like, I am Father, hear me roar, and unfortunately my baby was gone. And so I that weighed heavy on me, knowing that you went through that stuff and it was the action caused the reaction. That's one. And then number two, the thing to take note of is, since then, to your point, it's not like we've been walking around on eggshells. We've been functioning. We haven't, been in our neutral corners.
That's where the unhealthy part of all this comes in, because I feel like that's been our norm. Because if you think about it, 63 buckhorn, I'll just use like, okay, we're getting a whooping, right? Something wild happened. I was about to say something crazy. I was saying, yeah, whoop, but then I would be another 7 years. No, I'm kidding. No, so something wild will happen, and it's not like we really sat and talked about it. We really didn't sit and talk about stuff.
Right. It would go down and then you just go on with life.
And
we wouldn't come
sports,
the majority of the time. There was not a circle back.
Right.
Now
So
only in a couple of like really
traumatic instances.
Yeah.
But it's
like
not
when
like
you slung, who did you throw into the refrigerator?
That would have been Eric. But
Yeah.
he started it. I finished it.
This is
I mean, he was like, "This is my house." I'm like, "No, it ain't."
This my daddy house. I've been running things around here since 15 years old. No, for
Right,
real
right.
though. But that thinking, like, now as we're talking about all of this, that brings me to like you guys' upbringing. It's like you guys never, when something happened with you and your parents, it was never like a let's circle back and sit down and talk about it. The norm was,
That's true.
okay, we mad in a moment, but we'll get over it because life is moving on, right?
Well,
or
but
do you
it
feel like it
wasn't-
was something different?
No, it was a bit more cut and dry. Like I didn't. So my mom was a single mom, but I didn't come up in a blended family dynamic sort of situation. My dad just wasn't there. You know, we had
was around the
situations, right? And so, but you know, if you got in trouble, you got your butt whooped, or you got whatever, and that was it. That was done. You knew what you did, and keep it moving, right? There wasn't the complexity of like what we're talking through now. And that's that's the whole forever loved point of why we're doing this, right? That there's so many layers. Could be. And I'm not, hey, look, if you a blended family and you out there and you got it figured out, please share your information, because, you know, at the you know what I mean? Like when you got in trouble, if you're in a traditional family and you get in trouble, and again, every family has rifts,
Like, you get
issues, you
grounded,
got
and
stuff,
then
right? You got
at the end of your
it's
grounding,
life.
what did you learn from
it's
being
life.
grounded?
And I mean, my mom, there are times where you circle back, you know, it just wasn't. I don't even know how to compare it to, you know.
Well, then that brings me to like with our stuff, like our specific family, like growing up, like we just said, like the norm wasn't necessarily let's sit down and talk about why this happened.
There were
Now, don't get me
times, but
don't get me
there were
wrong. You guys were actually
particularly-
very good
I'm
with
like,
like
we
wanting to
did.
pick our brains about certain stuff. But I feel like the bigger the blow
we
up,
didn't-
the less we sat and talked about it. We
Well,
would just
or-
come to each other and be like, so you gonna keep walking around with a pissy attitude? And then that would be like our way of like coming back together, or like as siblings, like, okay, little bald headed wench, I'm sorry.
Oh, good. What is going on with you today? What? Like
Me and my
Jayla.
brothers, like that's.
Oh,
but
my gosh.
like okay, like I'll help you do your chores today. You know, like, and that would be us being able to bring it back together. So like, do you? I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. In the car this morning, Isabella Nova kept calling me bald headed. And I was fighting for my life in that car this morning. I'm like, hold on, wait. I'm not bald, y'all bald. But anyways, so saying all that to say, yes, we haven't talked about it since that happened. But do you know, like, what can you give to people for that? Because like, it's really not healthy that we have, this is our first time talking about it.
That's what we started out saying, lady. Again, you left out the door. I wanted to be able to talk about it. If I recall correctly, I'm trying to remember if it was in my head or if you encouraged me to just give it some space. Because again, I forced him. I was like, no, I'm talking to someone.
Yeah, no,
I made him in your mind. I was like, no, we need to talk about this because this is not right. Like,
Tied him down to the chair.
yeah, man,
we gonna talk.
It did need to breathe because of the intensity, the amount of heat.
Well, yeah.
Oh,
and
and
Tyrone's
for
daughter.
the record, I
Right.
just listen,
What
y'all.
does
That
mean?
was definitely. You hear people say that was definitely not my best moment, and I don't know.
She
if
really
it's
don't even be acting like that for real.
clear to
So
cuss and
Towards
say
y'all.
God in the same
Towards
sentence.
y'all.
So you know,
You said when she closed that
Right, when
door,
she
it's a
closed the
different
door,
story.
yeah, really,
Come here.
you're just.
Thought I told you.
said,
Okay, I am trying. The two of you.
No, but I hear you. I feel you.
That was very, very, very rough for me. It is rare that I am speechless.
This is absolutely.
Just be careful.
See?
And I had to choose to not even try to give closing remarks because there were so many emotions going on inside of me at the end, because I really felt like you opened up an AK-47 and unloaded 22 years of trauma in like the last 20 minutes of that episode. And that was like extremely, extremely challenging for me, because I felt like, and while we didn't play that part of the aftermath clip, I specifically recall saying to you, we could have been talking about some of this stuff after camera. Like, my hope was that not just helping other people with a podcast, and I know that it's helped bring healing and closure and forgiveness and whatnot in many different ways to us, and I think even, specifically, particularly like with you and Jerry and the three of you. And that's how I felt at that episode. Like this was I just felt like I like you were just, and I'm not saying this is what you intended, right? So again, I'm being careful with word usage because, and that's specifically what we were saying up there, everybody's perception is their reality. We say that all the time, and it's the truth, right? But I just felt like, good God. And while you'd had your snippets of, I'm not saying they're awful parents, that's not what I'm saying, that's what it felt like you were saying. Because it felt like everything that you let loose had just been building up all the way up to current day. And you said, what can we give to other people? I think that's what you just, I think as we just peel some of these layers back of that episode, I just would strongly, strongly, strongly encourage every blended family, you have got to pause and communicate and ask specific questions and see where people are. And you have to involve a therapist. You have to have someone help you navigate being able to talk through where people are as individuals, from the parents to the children.
So if I could jump in for just a second, I think, yes, the therapy portion is extremely important, but I want people to understand that it's also important, regardless of if your traumas are associated with your bio or your bonus, that both of them are included in that conversation. It should not be, in my opinion, one-sided, because I believe that having that conversation with your bonus, and I'm just using you as an example, and not including the bio kind of goes back to the last episode where Jerry was like, well, I didn't know this. And we were like, well, we didn't know that. And when did it happen? And so it should be a holistic conversation so that it's a good rounded, conversation. Now, I will say that at some point there should be a dialogue between bonus, and bonus and bio, and then bio and bonus. There needs to be that one-on-one, but in a scenario like that, I think there needs to be some group healing, because the traumas that you talked about fell over here, and partially, on Jerry, but a lot of it fell over here because you spent the majority of your time.
Well, it's
with
because
us.
it was my day-to-day operation.
Right.
Get your sweater thingy.
And
other
I just
side.
want to say that one of your edges is sticking up, Jayla, and it is really bothering me. But yeah,
it's a swirling. It's called real edges. This ain't no made up stuff. Like,
you want to lick it in?
No,
Okay,
it's okay, because I'm not bald headed.
Well, but
anyway, but
to your point, go ahead.
Oh yeah. So I was gonna say, to your point, sitting down and having a conversation with bio and bonus mom should be had. Parent, bio, bonus, parent.
Bonus and bio parent, yeah.
But in my particular situation, we also have to be honest and cognitive of who I am and what I've experienced. I'm less likely to sit down and have a conversation with bio and bonus because growing up, I had to sit down with bio, bonus, bio. And that in itself, like, no, for real though, that in itself was just, it wasn't even traumatic. It's just like, bro, like, I'm a kid. Y'all already like, she's a liar. So we're just going to get to the bottom of it, come to an amicable agreement about discipline, and let's go our separate ways. So it's like sitting there and talking to both of y'all. Sometimes it just be like, mm-mm. But as I've gotten older, like, I don't mind talking to both of y'all at the same time. It just, all parties have to be receptive and willing to hear all sides and not be so like offended hearing anything. Because like watching the episode back, it was a lot of, well, I didn't do, and did I make you feel like, did I do? And it's just like, bro, I'm saying the sky is blue. Is it not blue? What's going on? But it's also still understanding where y'all are coming from. And, you know, like I've always said, you doing what you could with what you had. So.
That's good. That's good.
So do we want to jump into the first clip?
Did you have something to add before we do that?
No, I mean, I there's just so much going on in my head at the moment, and I'm just trying to the reality is that, again, if we're 22 years in and we're still sitting here going, dang, we missed it, and we still, after this amount of time and after all that we've been through, still have room and opportunity for improvement. Right. From the perspective of, you know, like Calvin said, he like, dang, y'all ain't talked about that since that happened. Y'all just gonna sweep it under the rug. Like, it's just not healthy.
Well, I mean, we started broaching it actually last night, I think, or
last night.
As it's
7 hours later.
You know, so last night at 6 weeks after, you know, it's been an intermission.
We've been busy.
In between.
We couldn't get it in.
Yeah. Right. And then I started, you know, a lot of stuff happened right after that, but that doesn't make it any excuse.
No.
That is correct, because there were times where we had dinner together. There were times where, you know, we was just hanging out.
But again, this goes back to what our normalcy is. Like, we've had, you and Jayla have had y'all stuff, and y'all go back like whatever, and then y'all go back.
We actually go back. We're still peeling that back too. So again, I guess to your point of why are we doing this way? Why are we going back through and running clips and talking through? Because we want other people to learn from our mistakes.
Yeah,
we really do, and it's not healthy to not give appropriate pause. To Ty's point, you know, like, it would not have been like that, just didn't go well. It just didn't, because emotions were extremely high. And people can say with it, but, you know, when your emotions are just on 50, you know, inevitably things are going to be said that are not going to go over well, or not be heard, not received. And so it's just not a good thing to try to do that. But I do feel like we missed it. And so trying to talk through now, kind of how do we get there, and how do we help other people that have an opportunity to avoid doing what we did. What's the recommendations on that? Like, that's the whole point of sitting and going through this. And so, yeah.
Maybe this is the platform to have the conversation. You know, I wouldn't say this is forcing it, but in a sense it is. I mean, we didn't have to come back and break this down. We could have been like, you know what,
let's move on to the next episode.
Right. Or not. Or we could have decided to bow out altogether. But I think it's
still kind of thinking about it, but
whatever. So I think it's important to show our.
I'm serious, but go ahead.
Me and you will have our own after the reality.
Y'all will have 45 minutes of laughing and 2 minutes of real conversation. Okay.
Talk about 45 minutes laughing and 2 minutes
It'll
of conversation.
go from blended family matters to blended family comedy. Yeah. Okay.
But I think it's important.
Oh, wait, you said we can't do our job.
Right. That we don't bow out, because then that speaks to people who miss it. That speaks to people who don't, walk the process out and they just give up. Yeah. And after 22 years, if we cannot move forward on this platform, then how do we even continue to make it work outside of this? Especially knowing what we know after that last episode. There are things we either say all of that was true. You don't like her. You don't like her. You don't like me. We don't like each other. It's time to bounce, because we've overcome stuff. And so if we are actually walking this out and we're saying we've done this for 22 years and we're committed to it, this needs to stay. It should not go away, because then if it does, we were lying the entire time.
Next episode, you can tell us if we were lying or not. No.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I mean, I do. I don't know that I wholeheartedly agree with that concept. I mean, again, it's your opinion. You're entitled to it. I don't know that means we were lying the whole time. I think that, it's a choice. And I think that remaining transparent, again, when life is lifing, and it does that for everybody, and you're trying to prioritize where you are as a person with your capacity limits across the board. Just sometimes you got to go, you know what, at this time, I gotta, this stuff going on over here is taking about 90% of what I got. Okay. And I don't have room for something that's competing that'll take 60 to 70. And so,
so we're living what we talk about. So let me ask you a quick question, just a quick survey. Do you get inquiries about the show?
Yeah, here and there.
All right. Do you?
A few. What's that got to do with what we're talking about?
As do I. So that's the whole point. That's the whole point. People are saying, man, I didn't know. I wish I would have had something like this. Or, man, this is something that I need to continue to watch. And so if we have one or two, if you have two, I have two, you have two, 2, 4, 6. That's 6. 6 is good. Or if it's 7. And then it becomes the ripple effect.
Everything happens for a reason. So
I'm just saying, it's numbers, but it's also relax.
You got to go through the sand to get to the clearest parts of the ocean.
How about you got to go through the sand to get to the water? Forget the clearest part.
Well, sand and water sometimes. Anyway, so let's get into this first clip.
You got to go through the parking lot to get to the sand. Go on.
And yeah,
Pickens
realities. Pickens realities. Stop.
From the water to get to the ocean.
What we're gonna do is we are starting at the end. Tyrone Pickens. Oh my gosh, Calvin, you're gonna have to do what you do.
And leave this in there.
Pay the videographer, y'all. Find a good one, because Lord, ours we put to work. You too. Oh my goodness. We are starting at the end. So the last episode, y'all, has 3 parts. If you haven't watched them, go back and watch them. They get, so we're focusing on the end of part 3, which is where Jayla hits her moment of just kind of, like I said, that whole AK-47 ordeal. Kind of just, but which, and I do want to say this before we play this. I am very, very grateful that you were able to release a lot of emotional baggage and trauma and hurt that allowed you to feel relief. I am sad and embarrassed and upset that it took 22 years for that to happen.
I agree.
Now, I will also say, which we'll get into too, and what I don't want to do though, y'all, because blended families are blended families, and how when you go back to part 1, the whole premise of how Wendy started out moderating that episode was talking about accountability.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I do want to make sure that we discuss, we'll watch this clip and discuss, which, but even though you were a kid then, and definitely you're a 27-year-old adult about to be 28 now, there are still pieces and components where every person has to have an appropriate level of accountability and own, again, appropriate, right? Like, again, when it's a kid, a baby, but you'll see what I'm talking about. But just like parents, and this is more to children in blended families too, finding the right way to be able to advocate for yourself, one, but also take accountability at an appropriate level as far as each individual can still make choices that do their best to keep them in as healthy a state as possible. If that makes sense to y'all, what I'm trying to say.
Makes sense.
And delineating between, I'm clear, like from when I was a kid, and because of therapy, what was squarely in a lane of responsibility and ownership for my parents. But then it transitions into where I had to start taking ownership and accountability myself for some things, because there comes a point in time where you know what you know, and yes, there can be facts, real facts about what happened and things that were out of your control and other people should have done differently to protect you and create a healthy environment, etc. At the same time, there comes a line where you should not and don't have to use that as an excuse, if you will, not to take accountability for yourself and own your own decisions, and be able to understand that even if a parent or anyone else is like off the Richter or doing something, that doesn't mean that you as an individual has to respond in the same manner. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's watch
this
this clip here that's at the end of
These kids is
part
trifling.
3.
They be like, bro, y'all got some really good. You don't get kids like this no more. We don't sit here and defile y'all every chance we get. But when we bring up our trauma, our pain, our indiscretions about a situation, it is always looked at what my perceived notion about how it is looked at, how we get responded to is as if we're ungrateful because we did so much good for y'all and y'all just mad about this little old stuff that happened. That's how it feels. And I feel like a lot of the time, like everybody be like, and I just told Eric and Wendy this last night in the car, like everybody be like, you need a daughter for patience. No, I needed a daughter so that I don't want, Jayla, you better not.
Yes, you can get the Kleenex.
You better not. God gave me a daughter so that I could see what type of person I was, so I could see how beautiful I am, so I could see how great of an individual I am, because I never felt like that. I never felt like I was enough. I never felt like I did good. I never felt like I was beautiful. I never felt like any of that. I always felt less than. I always felt unseen, unheard, unappreciated. I always felt like there was a time where I hated my body. I hated myself. There was all of that. But like having my baby look at me every day and tell me, I love you. You're the best mom ever. You're so kind. You're so sweet. That just lets me know, like, God gave me a daughter so I could see who I was for myself. Because I'm trying to see who I am in people that I feel like didn't really show me that in the most vital times of my life.
It's hard to that's hard to rewatch and rehear. Still confirmed, I shouldn't say confirms, still digs at me and makes me play it all back in my head. And I've said this multiple times. How did I miss that? How did I not affirm you? How did I not?
Because there were 6 kids and I'm the middle child. Usually the middle child gets left out.
Well, that's no excuse. That's no excuse.
But this is what I struggle with. I am not at all I just want to preface, I do not intend to look like I am attempting to take away from how you feel. At all, period. My struggle is that I remember you affirming her specifically. I remember, and so this is kind of what
love language though. It may not have been her language. How I was affirming her may not have been what she needed. I mean, my name. What's your nickname? What do I call you?
Marbles, baby girl,
pretty
baby
girl,
cow.
Pretty girl. That's what she
I
is in my
actually
phone.
stopped the baby cow stuff because I've told your father for a long time.
She had these big eyes though.
I'm not gonna lie, the poster that's in Gabby's room, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, Dad calls me that. I want that poster. And she was like, he calls me that. I want the poster. And I'm like, yeah, but anyways.
So again, the I was about to say never mind. Showing her love may not have been the love language that she needed. I may have been saying it, but maybe she needed a hug. I may not have been hugging her, or I may have been hugging her, and maybe she needed a daddy-daughter date. So there, and it's not like it's not like I was questioning her saying, is this what you need?
So pause there. So I think, again, as we're talking through this, assessing what we identify at this time as we're breaking this down as, okay, if we could go back and do it again, what do we think we would do different to try to prevent, to the best of the ability, getting to that space? You just said, so there's a couple of things. And Marche, you have to be able to go, because we're coming from this is the parents of a blended family, bio and bonus, breaking down with one of our children. If we could rewind the hands of time, do we think this would have helped or worked better? And all we can do at this point is presume and assume that it may have. But to your point, for blended families out there, and we've talked about this before too, being able to sit down with each kid, figure out the logistics, y'all, whether it's as a family or, then you take it. We had a large family. So, but nonetheless, had we known at the beginning, things that we've come to learn and what we've discovered and we know now, it just would have been what we needed to do as far as sitting down and having individual time to assess what is each kid's love language? What do they need? How do they feel? Do you feel like you are affirmed? How do you feel as a part of this family? Where are you at? So again, going back to the number one favorite word, communication, right? Because I guess what's why this became so hard is, again, I remember in my head very squarely, particularly with the two of you, right? The attempts of you affirming Jayla. And I remember you always saying, very regularly, again, that word, because you use the word, you never felt affirmed. Like when you were going through this, you say you never felt affirmed. You never felt, those are big, overreaching, broad words to say always and never. Like you always do that, when what it is there's a level of frequency or, well, I never felt affirmed. It just feels like,
let me say this. I feel like me saying I never felt affirmed wasn't necessarily, it was never done. I just probably, especially as a child going through, going into my teenage, early adult, it's probably I never felt like it was real.
Okay. So
because my thing,
Wait,
the
pause that
question
because
that
I
you
want you to
asked,
keep expounding, please.
yeah.
Because
So
I'm
the
trying to
question that you
understand how.
asked was, what you said was, my struggle is, I've seen him specifically with you, like affirm you and tell you he loves you and how pretty you are and all the stuff. So I'm just confused as to why you would feel like that. What popped in my brain is, I mean, your situation is different, but this is the best way I can describe it. You know Nana loves you, but even though she said I love you, her actions didn't make you feel like that all the time. Or
No,
it didn't
I felt
make you,
loved.
or it didn't make you feel like this is what a mom's love is supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to experience in that. Outside of feeling like, oh yeah, I love, we have food on the table, but like, you know, not the one-on-one time or whatever. But for me, I feel like it may have started with that lady not being heard and seen the first time, just cut everything off. So now I feel like every time you're telling me all these words of affirmations, it's like, I just feel like you're like I know you love me. You're my dad, but you know, maybe you're just trying to make up for whatever. So you're trying to make me feel better. So that's why it becomes I didn't really feel the best about myself. Because even after the situation happened, that was never really talked about. Until we was in the car one day, years later, and I was like, I want to get a tattoo right here to cover this up. And you're like, what happened? And then we talked about it.
So there's no way to excuse that. None whatsoever. I can't even say what was going on in my world that would have not triggered me to say, well, wait a minute. Not triggered me to ask. Not triggered me to dig.
Because I feel like, I mean, it was 6 of us. Y'all was working how y'all was working.
No.
Well, back then, it was just the three
He's
of them.
talking about the the situation before me, before he met me.
Right.
He's not talking about 6 of y'all.
Right. So
Well, it was still 3 of us, 1 of you. You're trying to figure your stuff out. So, I mean, of course, the last thing you would want to hear is, oh, the girl that I'm with, she's doing something to my kid.
Well,
like,
and again, that's no excuse. It happens in a lot of relationships around the world, regardless if they're blended or not. You have
So the point there before you so seriously, y'all, takeaway for parents, because I hear you and I think Jayla just hit it spot on. You were a single parent, just like I when I was a single parent, and you're in a relationship, you want it to work. Love can blind you.
Yeah.
And then
panty-colored glasses.
You what?
That's what I was about to say.
Panty-
Panty blind.
Panty-colored glasses. I'm serious.
Okay,
I mean,
we just going all in on this one, y'all.
Well, I mean,
okay.
We had a fight at the beginning of the thing, so we in it now.
Round 1.
Started.
But takeaway point for one, single people with children, if you desire to be married or have a relationship with anybody else, you're headed towards a blended family, right? And so point to take away, regardless of what's going on, pay close attention to and give your children the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you.
And trust, but verify, I guess would be the phrase that I use.
That's good.
Right?
That's good.
You need to trust your children. When they say something's off or this person did this person did that, I understand could be different scenarios where children may not tell the truth because they don't like the person. But if your kids don't like the person you trying to get with, that's a whole nother problem.
1 and 2, 12 and under children are very clairvoyant. That's like when I was dating who I was dating, and my baby one day was like, so and so is a monster. And I'm like, huh? He scares me. He's a monster. And I'm like, But he would always play with her and like, you know, act like a dinosaur. But it was one day she said that to me, and like a couple hours later, I don't know, it was just the way he looked. I was just like, he might be a monster, baby. He might be a monster. Like, I didn't say that to her, but shortly thereafter, it went downhill. So kids can see stuff you can't see.
So that's a serious takeaway that we would want to leave with our audience, that in this instance, you know, whatever was going on at that time, again, that was pre-me, thank the Lord.
I literally talked to
said,
Eric and Dom about it. I'm like, y'all remember, you know, she was force feeding us spinach out of a can, like making us sit in the jacuzzi room to eat it on top of the jacuzzi. And they were like, okay. Like, and I'm just like, what? Like, she would lock us in the room and make us sit there and raw spinach out of a can in 3 separate bowls, make us sit our bowls on top of the jacuzzi thing, have us eat it. And we could not leave that room until it was eaten. And then for me specifically, if I wouldn't eat it, she would make me eat it. And it's like, they was just like, oh, okay, nothing happened. I feel like that could be another thing because Dom and Eric weren't like, oh, something's going on, because they're just Dom and Eric.
Well, and people handle traumatic. So that
it may not have been traumatic for them.
It wasn't traumatic for them. It was traumatic for you. And
it may not have been traumatic for them.
That does not discount it any way, shape, form, or fashion.
For you, right.
So to your point, listening to your children. So I failed at that. I missed the opportunity to receive information, validate the information, and potentially have to correct it had it been what it was, had I investigated. So I'm not saying that it wasn't, but I'm just saying that's how it should have gone. But to your point, trying to figure it out, penny-colored glasses, whatever you want to call it, I missed it, and it was a disservice to you. And to your point, Jess, if you are preparing to, desire to be in a blended relationship, somebody you're courting, what you said, children are clairvoyant, and what you said, vet it. And we talked about this. Slow the train down, or as Dawson says, slow the locomotive down so that you can make certain you're on the right track before you hitch up all your cars. Because once you hitch up the cars, it becomes a whole nother animal.
So, and I to your earlier statement, Jayla, you said that you believe that you being discounted at that moment, you believe was foundational to
thank you for bringing that back.
Not trusting fully your dad's when he did work to affirm you and things that he said. So let alone it created as a significant crack in the foundation of you all's relationship. For if I understand what you're explaining, but from your perspective too, then when I come along, you like, hold on,
round 5.
You know,
for real.
This is yeah, no. There was it was coming that you had no good foundation to start on with me because you were coming from a place of mistrust based on what you had been through with the other individual that your father was involved with prior to me.
So if I could ask really fast, just park that for a second. So at what point, or has it happened, where you feel like that table has turned?
When I got pregnant with Isabel.
Okay, so let's look at this.
Wait, which table? Talking about which part of it?
When she began to feel like my affirmation was genuine. That's a long
not until
time.
You got pregnant with
That's a long
Isabel?
And that's disheartening for me.
Please, can you give a little bit more, give
she
some?
Just said it.
No. I'm saying I'm asking for additional information on why you feel like it wasn't until then, because there was I feel like there was,
because there just been
a lot of
so
actions
many
and
things
reasons
that
that
have happened, and so many things that do I want to say that? I don't know if I want to say that.